You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Sunday, July the 12th, 2020. The Orioles and Red Sox played each other in an AL East matchup. The final score of this game, 6-2. The Orioles came out on top. They scored first, and they scored a bunch early in the top of the third inning. They put up 4 runs in the top of the third, and they didn't lose the lead after that point. Asher Wojciechowski got the win, and Eduardo Rodriguez got the loss. The Rangers and Yankees played each other 6-0. The final score of this game, the Yankees won. Jordan Montgomery got the win. Mike Minor got the loss. AL Central Baseball between the Royals and the Indians saw the Royals win by a 6-2 final score. They had all 6 of their runs at the end of the 4th inning. The Indians scored 1 in the 5th and 1 in the 8th on a couple solo home runs, but that was it for their run-scoring offense. They lost by 4. Brad Keller got the win, and Carlos Carrasco got the loss. Interleague play between the Diamondbacks and the White Sox, 7-5. The final score, the White Sox came out on top in this one. The Diamondbacks were making a comeback. They got a grand slam in the top of the 8th inning, but they couldn't score in the top of the 9th, and they fell short 2 runs. Lucas Giolito got the win, Madison Bumgarner got the loss, and Alex Colomé earned his 26th save of the season. The Rays and Cardinals played each other 13-4. The final score of this game, the Rays came out on top and won in a big way. Charlie Morton got the win, and Dakota Hudson got the loss. The Blue Jays and Twins played each other. The Twins came out on top again, 3-1 the final score of this game. Each team scored a run in the 2nd inning, and it stayed scoreless and tied at 1 up until the 7th inning, when the Twins put up 2 in the bottom half of the 7th inning, and they ended up winning by those 2 runs, 3-1 the final. Devin Smeltzer got the win, Justin Miller got the loss, and Tyler Duffy earned his 13th save of the season. American League West Baseball played between the Seattle Mariners and the Oakland Athletics, and the Mariners won this game. 7-6 was the final score, and it was back and forth. Late in the game, the Mariners put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th to take the lead. Then the Athletics were chipping away. They got 1 in the top of the 7th, and then 4 in the top of the 9th to take the lead. They were winning by a run going into the bottom of the 9th when the Mariners scored 2 to walk it off and beat the first-place team in their division. Carl Edwards Jr. got the win, and Liam Hendricks got his 3rd loss of the year. He also blew the save in the bottom of the 9th. The Tigers and Astros played each other. This game close, and each team scored in pairs in this one. But the Astros scored 1 more pair than the Tigers did, and they won by a pair, 2 runs. Justin Verlander got the win against his former team. Michael Fulmer got the loss, and Roberto Ozuna now at 30 saves on the season. NL East baseball between the Phillies and the Nationals went to extra innings again. The Nationals won yesterday in 13 innings with a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 13th. This one went 14 innings, and the Nationals were able to win again. They walked it off in the bottom of the 14th. Will Harris got the win, and Hector Neris got the loss in this one. The Mets and Marlins played each other, and the Mets blanked the Marlins 7-0 the final score. Jacob deGrom got the win. He now has an over .500 winning percentage going into the All-Star break. And Caleb Smith got the loss. He's 4-3 now. The Cubs and Braves played each other. Close game, 3-2 the final score of this one. The Cubs came out on top, though the Braves out-hit the Cubs 12-8. Alec Mills got the win out of the bullpen. Cole Hamels got the loss against one of his former teams. And Craig Kimbrell now at 33 saves this season. NL Central Baseball, the Pirates and Reds played each other. 8-2 the final score of this game. The Pirates came out on top and got 10 more hits as a team than the Reds did as a team. Chris Archer got the win, and Wade Miley got the loss. The Rockies and Brewers played each other. 6-2 the final score of this game, and it was close mostly throughout until the Rockies put up 5 runs in the top of the 10th inning. It went tied going into extra innings, but the Rockies dropped a bomb on the Brewers, and they could not recover fully. 6-2 was the final score. Brian Shaw got the win, David Phelps got the loss, and Wade Davis now has 22 saves this season. And an NL West matchup played between the Padres and the Giants. 8-7 was the final score of this game. It was very even. Each team had 13 hits. The Giants had the lead until the top of the 9th inning when the Padres tied the game at 8 with a 3-run top of the 9th. The 10th inning went scoreless, and then in the 11th, the Padres got 2 runs in the top half of the inning. The Giants were clawing their way back. They scored a run, but they fell short and ended up losing. Jose Castillo got the win. Trevor Gott got the loss, and Kirby Yates now has 31 saves on the season. Let's take a look at standings now, starting in the American League East. The New York Yankees are 57-38. They're still at the top of this division. They've also won their last 2 games. The Blue Jays have lost 3 in a row. They're now 4 games back of the Yankees with a 54-43 record. The Red Sox are in 3rd place with a 47-49 record. They're 10.5 games back, and they've lost their last 2 games to the Orioles. The Rays are 46-51 in 4th place, 12 games back. And the Orioles have beaten the Red Sox twice in a row now. They're 40-57, and they're 18 games back of the Yankees for 1st place. In the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins won their 3rd straight game today, and they're now 1 win away from 70. They're 69-29. The White Sox 56-40, 12 games back of 1st place. The Indians 53-44, 15.5 games back. The Tigers 40-57, 28.5 games back, and the Royals still in last place. They're still just above 30 wins. They're 33-64, 35.5 games back of 1st place. In the American League West, the Oakland Athletics 1 win away from 60. They did not win today. They lost to the Mariners, though they're still at the top of the division. The Astros won today, so the Astros gained a game on the Athletics. They're now 2 games back with a 56-39 record. The Angels are 45-51, 13.5 games back. The Rangers 40-57, 19 games back, and the Mariners in last place, so they beat the A's today. They're 36-62, 23.5 games back. And here are the wildcard standings in the American League. The Astros have the number 1 spot. Trailing them by a half game is the White Sox. They're 56-40. The Blue Jays, 2.5 games out of a wildcard spot with a 54-43 record. They've lost their last 3 games. The Indians, 53-44. They lost today to the Royals. They're 3.5 games back of a wildcard spot. Every other team in the American League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 9 games back of one of those wildcard spots. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals, 55-42. They've won their last 2 games. They're still at the top of this division. The Marlins are 52-44. They're 2.5 games back of the Nats for 1st place. The Braves are 51-46, 4 games back. The Phillies, 43-53, 11.5 games back. Same record and same amount of games back for the Mets. The Phillies and the Mets are tied for 4th in the NL East. In the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals still lead. They're 56-41, and they have a healthy lead. They're 6.5 games above the Cubs, who are in 2nd with a 49-47 record. The Brewers are 3rd best in this division. They're 47-48, 8 games back. The Reds are 40-56. They're 15.5 games back. And the Pirates still in last place. They're 36-60. They're 19.5 games back of 1st place. And in the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 65-31. They're still at the top of this division. The Diamondbacks, 51-45, 14 games back. They're in 2nd place. The Padres are 50-47. They won their 50th game today. They're still 15.5 games back of 1st, though. The Rockies are 41-55, 24 games back. And the Giants, still in last place with a 36-59 record. They're 28.5 games back of the Dodgers for 1st. And here are the wildcard standings in the NL. The Marlins still have the lead with a 52-44 record. The Diamondbacks have the 2nd wildcard spot. They're 51-45. They're a full game back of the Marlins for that 1st wildcard spot. Then you have the Braves, who are still in contention. The Braves are a half game back with a 51-46 record. All 3 of these top teams lost today, so they all haven't moved. The Padres won today, though, so they gained a game on all the teams. They're 50-47, 1.5 games back of that 2nd wildcard spot. The Cubs also gained a game. They're 2 games back. 49-47 is their record. The Brewers have a winning percentage under 500, but they're still in contention. 3.5 games back of a wildcard spot. They have a chance to turn it around and maybe make a wildcard appearance. And every other team in the National League has a winning percentage under 500 and is at least 8 games back of that 2nd wildcard spot. And let's take a look at league leaders now, starting with batting average leaders in the American League. Miguel Cabrera has the highest average at .355. Miguel Andujar second best with a .338, and Chris Davis third best with a .328. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has the highest average still. He has a .354 average. Christian Yelich second best with a .348, and Jonathan Villar third best with a .347. Hits leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera has the most with 133, Miguel Andujar second best with 131, and DJ LeMahieu third best with 126. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has 140, Paul Goldschmidt the next best with 123, and Nolan Arenado third best with 121. At bat leaders in the American League, Marcus Semien has the most with 394. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has the most with 404. Doubles leaders in the American League, Anthony Rendon has the most with 35. Jose Abreu hit 2 doubles today. He's at 32. And Whit Merrifield also hit 2 doubles today. He's at 30 now, third best in the league. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has the most with 41. Christian Yelich second best with 33. And Trey Turner third best with 28. Triples leaders in the American League, Adalberto Mondesi has the most with 7. Jose Altuve has the second most with 6. Stephen Piscotty, Adam Eaton, Byron Buxton, and Whit Merrifield all tied for third best with 5. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has the most with 12. Victor Robles second best with 7. Hunter Pence third best with 6. Home run leaders in the American League, Justin Upton has 33. Chris Davis and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. tied for second best with 28. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has 35. Paul Goldschmidt the next best with 34. And Pete Alonso third best with 29. RBI leaders in the American League, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has the most with 86. Chris Davis the next best with 82. And Nelson Cruz rounds out the top 3 with 76. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has the most with 94, 20 above both Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna Jr., who are tied for second best with 74. Run scored leaders in the American League, J.D. Martinez has the most with 73. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has the most with 81. Stolen base leaders in the American League, Malik Smith and Adalberto Mondesi have the most with 22. D. Gordon is third best with 19. National League stolen base leaders, Starling Marte has the most with 32. Trey Turner the next best with 30. And Jonathan Villar third best with 25. Walks leaders in the American League, Alex Bregman has the most with 60. In the National League, Mookie Betts has the most with 67. On base percentage leaders in the American League, Miguel Cabrera has the highest with a 424. Alex Bregman the second highest with a 419. And Chris Davis third highest with a 412. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has the highest with a 456. Christian Yelich second best with a 451. And Ronald Acuna Jr. third best with a 422. Slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson has a 634, Max Kepler with a 629, and Chris Davis with a 616. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. at a 731, Paul Goldschmidt second best with a 726, and Christian Yelich rounds out the top 3 with a 681. On base percentage plus slugging percentage leaders in the American League, Josh Donaldson has the highest at a 1.044, Chris Davis the second highest with a 1.027, and Max Kepler the third highest with a 1.008. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has the highest with a 1.182, Ronald Acuna Jr. the next highest with a 1.153, and Christian Yelich the third highest with a 1.132. Moving on to pitcher leaderboards, starting with wins leaders in the American League, Hyunjin Ryu and Kenta Maeda each have the most wins among AL pitchers with 11. Jordan Montgomery, Jose Urquidy, Zach Greinke, Lucas Giolito, and Jake Odorizzi all have 10 wins. They're all tied for third best. In the National League, Walker Buehler has the highest with 13. Steven Strasburg second best with 11. David Price and Madison Bumgarner tied for third best with 10. Losses leaders in the American League, Chris Bassett and Kenta Maeda each have lost 0 games. They're still undefeated on the mound this year among pitchers who qualify, and they're at the top of this leaderboard. In the National League, Walker Buehler and Steven Strasburg have lost the least amount of games with 2 on the year. Saves leaders in the American League, Brad Hand has the most saves with 33, Liam Hendricks second best with 32, and Roberto Ozuna third best with 30. In the National League, Craig Kimbrell and Giovanni Gallegos are at the top with 33 saves, Kenley Jansen third best with 32. ERA leaders in the American League, Kenta Maeda has the lowest at a 231, Jake Odorizzi the next lowest with a 243, and Aaron Savali third best with a 263. In the National League, Walker Buehler has the lowest ERA with a 2.10, Jacob deGrom the second lowest with a 2.24, and Marcus Stroman the third lowest with a 2.31. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers, Gio Gonzalez and Kenta Maeda have allowed the least amount with 9. In the National League, Marcus Stroman and Jacob deGrom have allowed the least amount with 7. Shutout leaders in the American League, Masahiro Tanaka has thrown 4 complete game shutouts this year, Garrett Cole has thrown 3, and Jake Odorizzi has thrown 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has thrown 5 complete game shutouts. He threw his against the Marlins today, and he now has a commanding lead over the other pitchers. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Merrill Kelly, and Walker Buehler. They've all thrown 2 complete games this season. Complete game shutouts, that is. Strikeout leaders in the American League, Garrett Cole with 161, Lucas Giolito with 150, and Jake Odorizzi third best with 140. In the National League, Steven Strasburg has 162, Clayton Kershaw second best with 151, and Aaron Nola third best with 142. Complete games thrown among American League pitchers, Masahiro Tanaka has thrown 4 complete games, Garrett Cole second best with 3, Jake Odorizzi and Aaron Savali, third best with 2. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has thrown 5 complete games. Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola each tied for second best. They've thrown 3 complete games this year. Innings pitched leaders in the American League, Hyunjin Ryu has thrown 136 innings this year. In the National League, Aaron Nola has pitched 135 and 2/3 innings this season. Walks allowed among American League pitchers, Carlos Carrasco has the least amount with 22. In the National League, Brett Anderson has the least amount with 24. Whip leaders in the American League, Jake Odorizzi has a 104 whip, Hyunjin Ryu at a 109, and Masahiro Tanaka at a 110. In the National League, Jacob deGrom has a 103, Aaron Nola at a 106, and Steven Strasburg's at a 107. Pitching WAR leaders in the American League, Jake Odorizzi has the highest, 3.4 WAR. Masahiro Tanaka is at a 3, and Shane Bieber third best with a 2.8. In the National League, Jacob deGrom's at a 3.9, Aaron Nola at a 3.3, slightly lower than Nola's is Steven Strasburg, who's also at a 3.3. And again, slightly lower among those insignificant figures that you can't see. Batting WAR leaders in the American League, Marcus Semien has the highest at a 5.7, DJ LeMahieu second best with a 5.5, and Yohan Moncada third best with a 5.3. And in the National League, Christian Yelich close to 7, he's at a 6.9, Paul Goldschmidt second best with a 6.3, and Jonathan Villar rounds out the top 3 with a 6.2. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Sunday, July the 12th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's virtual network.